I've had directors be like, moan louder, and I'm like, I don't want to moan louder. Like, I'm just moaning how I moan.
I'm wearing that badge of honor very proudly right now.
We just have so much fun, playing together.
So Eric was like, well, you could play the tambourine. And I said, I'm not playing the tambourine.
I love the love. Here for the love.
I need to be outside. That's my office.
And really, your level of professionalism and streamlined is just it's really should be applauded. You've done a great thing. Like, this is really, I looked at some of your previous interviews and really exceptional. I'm happy to be a part of the legacy you're building with Eclectic Arts.
Same.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts, based here in Seattle, Washington, in the United States of America. And thank you so much for joining me on this Saturday, the 19th of March, 2022. We're like, I think, X amount of hours away from officially being spring. And yeah, it's been a minute since I've been back in the virtual world. So I have more than a few housekeeping things to kind of go through. If this is your first time joining me on my YouTube channel, if you could do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell if you'd like to know what I have coming up. And if you're on the Twitch side of things, if you could follow me over there, that's where I started doing all this virtual work on the wonderful Alice tour, closing in on almost 2 years ago, which is crazy to think about. So I will always maintain a presence on Twitch. And if you'd like to know what I have coming up, let's kind of talk about a few things. These are things that are confirmed. I felt like I was kind of getting away from the virtual world because I had so many in-person things, which is wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I love going to in-person events, obviously, and I have one tonight. But I also don't want to neglect everything that I've done here with the virtual world and the virtual community that I've built up. And so starting, besides today, on Tuesday, the 22nd at 8 p.m., it's the 27th annual Seattle Jewish Film Festival. So again, for people that are new to me, I cover all kinds of different artistic things, not just music. It's also ballet, opera. Film started during the pandemic for me. And so the Seattle Jewish Film Festival was the very first festival that reached out to me before the pandemic. And so I really want to get a chance to talk with the director, and she's going to be coming on. So Pamela's coming on at 8 p.m. on Tuesday. The festival kicks off on Thursday, and you might be thinking, well, I live in a different part of the United States. Like most of the film festivals, they're doing in person and they're doing virtual. So there's a virtual option. So you don't have to live here in Seattle to be able to partake in the festival. So she'll be coming on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, I'm really excited to have Izan from... She's originally from Kazakhstan, and she's in this, actually, I think it's in my background, it is. She's in this wonderful film called The Legend of Tomarus. I've had the lead actress on twice. She was like the right-hand woman that was just like, as a character in that film, that was just really ferocious. And she's gonna be taking the time to come on and talk with me about her role in Tomarus and some of the other films she's been a part of. And then next Saturday, a week from today, I have C. Lemon joining me, and she's originally from New York, but I believe she's out here in the Northwest now. So she is a pop indie artist that does some really interesting music, and she has a new song out. So there's more things coming the following week, but if you'd like to know what those are, please follow me. It's like the Eclectic Arts Media, one word, on Instagram. That's where I post everything first, and then some of that information migrates over to Facebook. I have a TikTok, Twitter, all the usual suspects of areas to get the word out about what's going on. So again, it's really great to be back here in the virtual world. And I also want to thank really quickly oh my gosh, I'm a brain fart. Kevin, over down in Las Vegas at Counts Customs from Counting Cards on History Channel. I've had the pleasure of talking with and interviewing Kevin and also Danny the Count Coker a few times, and also the band Count 77 in person. And they sent me this gift as just a thank you for doing the interviews. And those were back in I think September was the last one that I did. So it's really cool that they thought enough of me to send something over. And so I'm wearing this proudly. And if you're what I consider anyone in the media or a journalist of any kind, if that's what you consider yourself, we lost a really tremendous sports media person last night, the professor, John Clayton. I was a huge fan of his. I learned a lot about listening to him, watching him, reading his columns, everything he's done. And unfortunately, he passed away last night. So I definitely want to dedicate this episode of what I'm doing to the memory of the professor, and he would be sorely missed. So when I got home last night and saw the news, I couldn't believe it because I just heard him on the radio like a week ago, and he wasn't feeling very well. So they said, "Hey, take some time off," and unfortunately, he passed away. So, but thank you, Professor, for everything you've done, and I'm going to miss listening to you at 7:20, when those were the old days, 7:20 and 4 p.m. and all those things through ESPN, and he's rightfully so a Hall of Famer, and hopefully he's in a better place now. So let's get to things. My guest today is a hard rocking band from the Midwest of the United States. Their brand new EP Ascension was just released on Friday, March 4th. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio, Jennifer Benson from Ignescent.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing really good, Jennifer. How are you?
Good, doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
Cool. And I want to say hi to Ove over in Norway, who's joining us through the chat. Hi, Ove. Good to see you virtually. And thank you for all your support through the months, or I guess through the months at this point. But so, Jennifer, let's kind of jump right into Ignescent's been around for a while. And so you've probably seen all kinds of things in the length of your career doing the band and everything else. And obviously we had this pandemic hit, and we're kind of coming out hopefully through the other end of it. Might be like a question that might take you a long time to answer, but how do you feel like Ignescent has changed from the beginning to where you are now in 2022 as a band?
As a band. Yeah, I mean, we've changed a lot. I mean, I started the band in 2008 is when I started it, and obviously now there's different band members, but I mean, when I started, I honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. I just kind of put ads out and contacted some people on Craigslist and that sort of thing, and band mix. And at first we just started, we did a few recordings locally and just started doing some shows locally wherever we could find a place that would let us perform, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it just, I mean, you have to start somewhere. And so that's what we did. And we just did shows in the suburbs of Chicago and in Chicago. And then from there, it just started to grow. We met some producers that really helped us shape our music. Like now we work with a producer called Cameron Pierce Mazzell, and he works with Memphis Mayfire. He's worked with Sleeping with Sirens. And I had heard a song by, I think it was a band called Spoken, and I just loved like the sound of it and everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to find out who this producer is. And so I found out that Cameron had produced that. And I reached out to him thinking he would never respond to me, but he did. And that was just like an awesome experience that we got to work with him. And then we just started kind of like honing in our music more and writing more and more and working on that aspect of it. And then we started getting just bigger shows over time. We opened for Flyleaf. Like that was one of the, I guess, one of the big moments for us, that we opened for a bigger band at the Subterranean in Chicago, and opened for Striper as well at Tailgaters. And then we started to get fests and started to do fests. We started playing at like Rock Fest in Cadet, Wisconsin, and played at Life Fest and just many others. And it kind of spiraled from that. And since then, got to do so many cool shows, meet so many people. Like we've opened for Gemini Syndrome. We've opened for Buck Cherry, Stitched Apart. We've opened for John Cooper's other band, Fight the Fury, and got to meet John Cooper with Skillet. And at Rockfest, like opened for Rob Zombie and Megadeth and all those bands. And it just has really, we have really grown. And then this year, all of a sudden, we got our new song Remnant on the radio. It hit number 49, I think it was last week, on the active rock Billboard charts. And so I'm blown away. Our song that has never happened to us before. So it's like, it's just crazy how things are kind of blowing up and growing over time. And we're just really excited and really blessed. And we just hit, I think it was over 200,000 streams on Spotify for Remnant. So people seem to really be enjoying that song, and then we did a music video for it too, and that I think last week hit over 100,000 views on it. So it's just, we went from this little garage band starting out to just, all of a sudden we're growing and getting out there more and just having fun. And especially now that things seem to be getting better, just we're doing a lot of live shows, and we have a show actually with Flaw I think it's next week on March 31st, and another one with them April 1st at Brower House in Illinois, and at the Looney Bin in Illinois too. So we're just trying to get out there as much as possible and enjoying being with people, hanging out with fans, doing live shows again, and just enjoying life. So.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations on the charting of Remnant, and just the success of it with the streams and and everything else. And for a band that's been, really working hard at it, it's got to be really rewarding to see these things, like you said, just kind of start to take off and start to blow up.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like after years and years of just working hard, it's just nice to see that happen, and it's very exciting.
Yeah, I think it goes to say that I think for a lot of people that if you try to handle your business the right way when you start out, and you just kind of stay that course, whatever that vision happens to be for you, then things will eventually come to you.
Yeah, definitely. It takes time, but it'll happen.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, you're getting a chance to play some shows, and you have shows, and you also have some festival dates this summer that are coming up. And so what was it like for you and the band for the first time you were back after the pandemic to play in front of a live audience again?
It was insane, but in a good way. But it was, there was just like such an energy in the crowd, and I feel like it was an energy that wasn't there before. And I think it's just because people were so excited to be out again amongst everyone, experiencing live music again, and it was just like electric, and you could sense it, you could feel it, and it was just awesome. It was amazing. And I think we stayed like after the show talking to people till maybe 3 a.m. Like we didn't want the night to end. We're like, we're gonna stay here all night. So it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I can definitely relate, because as I slowly came back to in-person events starting in like October, but I didn't do any kind of like rock or metal stuff until actually last week.
Oh, okay.
I just purposely kind of stayed away until I felt right. And so that first show on 2 Mondays ago, it had a real communal feeling to it, because that emotion, and people have been waiting, and depending if you've been going to shows or not going to shows, a lot of people I talked to said, no, this is my first show back, and it was a sold out show at a club here, and it was just something extra was going on, and this is like, this is what we've all missed, and you just missed it that much more, and now we're finally back doing what we love and seeing some familiar faces too, and from security, bartenders, fans, all that kind of thing. It's just like, man, I said, we've been through the ringer, but now we're here, and hopefully we stay here.
Yes, please. I hope so.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. And so, like with the 4 songs on the EP, were these things that you guys were working on during the pandemic? Were they pre-pandemic? What kind of things were going on with the 4 songs as you were writing them?
Yeah, it was during the pandemic, because we had obviously a lot of time to do that. So we thought we might as well just, write songs and record them and get them out when the timing is right. And so, a lot of it was inspired by what was going on during the pandemic, and some other things in my life and in our lives. And especially Remnant. I wrote those lyrics just to inspire people, because I know a lot of bands quit, in during this time, because everything just stopped for a while, and I think financially it was hard, obviously, for them to just keep things going. They lost so much money, and it's totally understandable. And but I wanted that message to get out there that, you know, no matter what we go through, no matter what hardships we go through, we're here to stay, and we're not going to quit. We are the remnant, because the remnant is like a small quantity of something that is remaining after a tragedy. And this was a worldwide tragedy, right? So it's just a message of hope to people to not quit, not give up. I know it's hard. I mean, life is hard, you know. I mean, besides the pandemic, we all have personal things that we're struggling with, or different aspects in our life that we're dealing with on a personal level. So, you know, I just want people to know that, you know, just keep going, don't quit. When life is hard, just keep going, and we're here to stay. So.
Okay, well, yeah, that's a very timely and a very powerful message, and something that people can relate to for sure.
Yeah.
Because everyone, you know, including myself, and I've talked about this many times on these live streams, that you know, I don't have the best of days sometimes, and as I mentioned to you pre-show, when I first started doing these, I was on this wonderful virtual tour with the band Alice, and that's sort of right around the end of May of 2020. So all the craziness out there was going on, and people were taking sides, and there was definitely times when the band and myself were like, man, you know, we've got another live stream to do tonight, and we don't really feel like doing it. But we had to kind of rethink and say, we've been told that this is becoming a distraction for the fans that tune in. So this is why we're trying to do this. It's something that they can forget about all the craziness out there, all the noise, and enjoy some music and my interviews for 2 hours, 3 hours. And that's what kind of kept us going. But we easily could have said, you know what, this next week, we're taking a break from these. We're not going to do this because it's just too much. There's too much stress going on in the world.
Right.
But it's like, no, we had to find the reason, and it was a positive reason too. Of like why we should keep doing this. And I think also particularly with fans that are in the hard rock, metal genre, we kind of resonate with that theme of like, don't give up when the chips are down, and that, you know, life's a roller coaster, and you got to wait for it to go back up instead of just saying what's going to be down here all the time. No, it's not. It will get better. Yeah. And it may not be better by your timeline. You may not happen instantly, but you have to have the faith that it will get better and things will turn around, and that you'll be like, oh, you know, I'm so glad that I stuck it. You know, I stuck in there and hung in there and didn't just say forget about it, and I'm done with whatever, you know, the issue is. So
yeah, no, that's awesome that you did that. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious. And you also mentioned that you've played with you opened for Stryper. I'm a huge Stryper fan. I saw them back in the 80s, like in the Free video that they did back in 85 or whatever. That was shot here in Seattle.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I was at that show.
Cool. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I'm old.
No, you're not.
There's like half a second, you can see this banner go up in that Free music video. That was my friends and I lifting this banner. I don't even remember what it said, but it said something, and we're kind of like, hey, there's that. So, but anyway, and I've had a chance. I've interviewed Michael Sweet a few times, and met the guys when they were last here, which was pre-pandemic, of course. So with Ignescent, are you considered a Christian band? Are you considered a band that has a message instead, or where do you kind of fall? Because I know there's kind of different things out there about the band right now.
Yeah, we're definitely a Christian band. I would say that. And our music and our lyrics is all. Well, some of it is about struggles and what we're going through, because I believe in being honest, and, you know, obviously not everything is daisies and roses and all that, obviously. So I believe in being honest about what I'm going through, and, you know, the struggles. And, you know, I struggle with depression. I struggle with anxiety, and I know Ian does too. And so we try to be honest about that and encourage others with that. But then other songs are definitely about God too, and it's like a mix, like our new song "Better Left Forgotten" on the EP. It says, like, the lyrics are, "My love grew cold and rotted. I'm better left forgotten," and which is not true. I'm not better left forgotten. None of us are, but that's the way I was feeling in that time and in that moment. But then there's also a little lyric in there, and it says, "Your life of daisies screams," and that actually is a lyric about God, like about who He is. And so yeah, so we'll throw, talk about God. It may not be super obvious in our lyrics, but yeah, that's what we are talking about sometimes. And then we're just talking about our experiences, and then trying to give, a message of hope out there, because times are crazy, and we want to be there, and we want people to know that they are loved, and we want them to know that God loves them too. I believe it's in this time that people need to know that. It's just hard out there. It's rough out there, and people need that hope, and they need that encouragement. So that's what we're about.
Well, that's wonderful, and I like the fact that you're very transparent. That's something I try to do with anything that I do in my own personal life, and even professionally with these kind of things. I've definitely talked about my struggles with mental health, and that, yeah, it's interesting. I'm some small freelance guy out in Seattle, so it's not like I have some huge following, but it's interesting how people kind of perceive you, that they feel that, well, you're a certain way in their mind, and then they think that, yeah, everything's great with Mark. Every day I get to see him do a live stream, where I look at his photos on Instagram or something.
Right.
He's having fun. He's meeting all these people. It's like,
yeah.
Well, yeah, that's wonderful, and I'm grateful for those opportunities, but that's not my entire life.
Right.
Not by a long shot.
Right.
Knock on wood, things have been pretty good lately for me, but I know there's going to be some rough patches at some point. There always are. That's part of life. And if we're talking strictly about like the mental health area, I also know that I can't ever predict when that's going to kind of kick in. It could have been this. It could have been this morning. I could have woken up and go, "Oh no, not one of those days."
Yeah.
So it's not something where I can say, "Well, if this happens, then I'm going to have a bad day." It's like, no, sometimes I just don't know.
Right.
And you have to find ways to cope with it and try to still get through it, and which I've done. And again, I've talked about this openly with people through these live streams. And so I think it's great that you do that, because there are going to be fans that will connect with perhaps something that you said. So if you're struggling with something at the time, they'll be like, "Oh, wow, that's just like what I'm going through right now." So, how's Jennifer getting through this, and what is she doing to cope and to do self-care and things of that nature? And I really do believe it helps. So it's nice that there's been like almost like a global movement of being more open about transparency with things, and that, they might see you rocking out on stage one night, but at the same time, you're going to go home at some point, and maybe things aren't so great at that particular moment, or maybe they are. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and I know Michael Sweet from Striper has always been really transparent about everything he does, and he always talked. I remember this back in the '80s again. He was talking about he always felt that band should at least try to uplift their fans.
Yeah.
At least give them some hope, or try to be positive in some sense. Whatever style of music you do, just try to do something. And that always stuck with me. It's like, this music should make me feel good, for however it resonates. And if it's purposely not designed to do that, it's like, why are you doing this music?
True.
Do you want to see people miserable, or do you want to see people suffer?
Right.
What's that say about you as a person? That's not
true.
Very good. So
that's a good point.
That's awesome. And so, do you write all the lyrics for Ignescent then?
I do write a lot of them. Ian wrote one verse for Exodus, and I'm trying to remember. He wrote one verse for another song. I can't remember which one. But yeah, sometimes Ian does, who's the bass player, sometimes he does write, or will co-write some lyrics together. So.
Okay, and I guess that kind of a good segue into what is the songwriting process for the band. And so, like, if you take Remnant, how did that song kind of come to be?
Well, interesting enough, I kept, like, the word remnant kept coming up around me. People around me said it. I don't know, and then it came up online. I saw the word again, and it just kind of stuck in my mind. And I'm like, I really just want to write a song called Remnant. And one day I was going with my family to Florida. Like, I was in the car and just writing. I had nothing else to do. And the melody just came to my head for the chorus. And the lyrics came pretty quickly too. And so it was interesting. So I, recorded it and wrote down the lyrics and everything. And then started working on the lyrics and melody for the verse and the bridge. And then it just in that ride, it came together pretty quickly. And so I sent it to the band to, come up with some music for, and they came up with music like pretty quickly. So the whole song was like done like that, which is pretty unusual. But so yeah, they came up with it, and I'm like, we really gotta record this song. And then we started writing more songs, and we decided to contact Cameron Mizell and set a date. So he came out to Chicago, and we recorded it, and that was it. So.
Okay, well, that's pretty interesting when you have a song that kind of like comes together quickly.
Yeah, it's kind of unusual, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you kind of know, like when something kind of flows out of you, and in this case, that you wrote the lyrics and then the band kind of quickly came up with the music, that there's probably something there to it.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
I know when I used to write songs many years ago, so the ones that just kind of flowed out of me seem to always be the ones that connected better with me than the ones that I would sit there and struggle with forever. After I said, like, you know what, I need to take a break from this song because I'm still not happy with it. And a lot of times I never was completely happy with it. So it's like, but we need another song. So here you go.
Yeah, right.
And do you have a music background yourself? Like, what is your background? Do you play instruments? Or you train vocally? What kind of things are in your background?
Well, I started singing on a worship team at church, actually. And then I took lessons, like vocal lessons and everything. But I don't play an instrument. I did take piano for 2 years, and I wish I didn't. I got lazy and quit, and I really wish I didn't. So someday I'm thinking about trying to relearn that. Yeah, and I was honored to be able to take a lesson. I think it was a couple weeks ago with Melissa Cross. She does the screaming vocal lessons, and that was really cool to take a lesson with her. But yeah, right now I don't really play an instrument, just sing and write melodies and lyrics and all that. So. Okay.
And when you are working, like if you're working on a new song with a band, and like you've got, like if we use Remnant again as an example, that do you ever hear that when the music comes back to you, or you're kind of like trying to put input into that music that you're not quite feeling, like say the bridge or something, a riff is sounding a little off to you or something? There's like back and forth. There's kind of the music's usually pretty good from the guys, and you just kind of go from there.
Sometimes I'll be like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? A lot of times it's what they come up with is amazing. They're super talented. So, it's not like there's much that has to be changed, but sometimes I might have an idea, like put this, sound in, or this chord in, or something like that. And sometimes though, when I just get a melody in my head, I automatically hear music around it, but it's hard to translate that to anyone. So it doesn't usually come back the way I hear it. First of all, I love what they do, but that's kind of impossible to hear what's in my head and to get it out. But they do an amazing job of coming up with music for it, and then sometimes they'll have like a guitar part or something, and then they'll send it to me, and then I'll write lyrics to that. So we do that both ways too.
All right. And when you're talking about, you hear certain music in your head sometimes, and it's hard to translate that or get that out to the guys.
Yeah.
But I think back to high school when I was in a band, and our singer didn't play any instruments whatsoever at all. And he'd be like trying to like hum to us like what he's hearing in his head, and so our guitar player like, you mean this? And he'd play something. He's like, no, and it's like more like da 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 da. Like this, and it was, we never really got anywhere.
That's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah, and I remember our singer would like go over to the keyboard and sit there and try to like plunk around, but he didn't know the notes on the keyboard, so it's like, okay, no, this is making it worse. So we'll just kind of keep chipping away at it, and we'll kind of get to a point where we're all kind of okay. I think that's kind of in the right direction. Okay,
Right.
going with this.
Right.
And
Yeah, melody is a little bit easier than instruments in your head. Like it's, yeah, it's a little hard. I've actually had dreams of melodies too, like at night, and then I'll record it. I'll get up in the middle of the night and record it, because if I don't, then I'll forget it. But like a melody will pop in my head in my dream, and I wake up and I'm like, oh wow, and it's not anyone's melody. It's just like a new melody. It's interesting, but the times that I don't record it right away, then I lose it and I can't remember it. So.
I think every artist can relate to that. When inspiration strikes you, and it could be something in your dreams, you have a melody. It's like, and it's so nice that we have like phones and other kind of things that you can just grab a gadget and just there and just hum it in there or something, so that you have it recorded.
Yeah.
I've done that with guitar riffs for sure, because I'm terrible about remembering things that I played. So yeah, it could be. I have an idea for a story way back when, and so like, let's put it in my notes, because if I don't do it somewhere, forget it. I'm not going to remember, and then it's going to bug me too.
Yes.
Like, what was that? And I'll try to. It might be close, but it's not quite exactly what I remember. And like, oh no, but yeah, this technology really helps a lot with that kind of thing now. And I think many musicians, a lot of the filmmakers I've talked to, said the same thing. They'll have an idea for a story, and in the middle of the night, writing it, like physically writing it down in a notebook, something. Then try to go back to sleep.
Yeah, that's hard too.
It is for sure. And you mentioned, and I've seen the music video for Remnant. What can you tell me about how that music video was made? How long did it take you guys? What's kind of going on with that whole process?
Well, it took about like a whole day. We got there pretty early and left pretty late at night. It was shot by Joseph Davis Castleberry in Chicago. And so we went to his studio and shot it there. And then for part of it, he had us go on his rooftop, and his rooftop that you step on is super soft, and he's like, be very careful because you guys might fall through the roof. I'm like, well, that's great. And I had like pointy heels, so I was freaking out just a little bit, but we're like, whatever. We'll just go with it. And so yeah, we're like dancing and head banging in my heels and just having fun, but we had to be careful too not to step too hard, because I could puncture a hole through the roof. So that was kind of fun and crazy. But yeah,
that would have made an incredible outtake if you actually had a punctured roof.
Right. I'm so glad I didn't, though.
Yeah, let all your fans out there know. So you think it's easy in shooting a music video? Watch this.
Right, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Well, it looks amazing. So they did a really wonderful job with the music video. And by not falling through the roof on top.
That's a bonus, right?
Yeah, a delightful bonus. And I'm curious too. So with like as you mentioned at the beginning, that things are really starting to blow up with this with Remnant, and also with this EP, and there's kind of like a buzz, and things are kind of like aligning right now for the band and getting the opportunities to be back in person and playing shows. You have a couple coming up in about a week or so. Do you guys have a chance to like possibly hop onto like a larger tour that would take you like here to Seattle or take you overseas? I don't know, maybe you've already been to other parts of the U.S. Kind of what's been the scope of your touring?
Yeah, we played in Tennessee, like Nashville area, Denver, Colorado, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, Kentucky. But yeah, we are looking currently to get on a bigger tour. We're talking to some people about that, and we're really, really hoping to do that soon or in the next few months, or at least by summer or fall. So yeah, so kind of stay tuned on that, but hoping to do that very soon.
Okay, cool. Yeah, when I was watching and listening to your music, I thought, gosh, these guys would be the type of band that I would see on. There's a club out here called El Corazon that has a lot of the hard rock and metal kind of bands. The Stripers played there several times. Yeah, so I'm
Okay.
like, I could see you guys on a bill with there's like 3 bands or 4 touring bands. It's like, oh, how come Ignescent's not one of these bands that I would see? Kind of, that's great that that's at least there's talks about trying to get onto a tour that would take you around the U.S. all over, and then you'll just watch your fan base grow that much more especially when people see you live. I mean, it's either you're gonna make people your fans, or they're gonna be like, oh, that band, I don't know. But you guys have been around enough to know how to put on a show, how to work the crowd, and you've got the songs. That's the most important thing. If your songs stink, then it doesn't matter what you do on a stage, but you've got all of it. So it seems like you should be able to just go to that next level that you're striving for, and then the next one, the next one, the next one. Just blow up to the point where it's just like, man, look at those guys. That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, and speaking, so I know I was speaking of tours and shows and that kind of thing. Just off the top of your head, can you think of any tour stories from any of the shows, or just a show story of something that was either really inspirational or something that was just really funny, or something like, man, I hope that never happens again, or just anything? Because every band has played shows, and you guys again have played a lot of shows. Something kind of sticks out in your memory of like, oh, I remember that one time 5 years ago this happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess Ian's probably gonna kill me, but I remember at Rockfest last year, we were like, it was in between. Thankfully, it was in between our set, and we were just like talking, walking around the stage and everything. And then Ian was there, and then he wasn't. So like he just kind of totally fell. There was like a little hole in the back of the stage, and it was easy not to see because it was like the stage was black and it was dark, and so he kind of fell through that hole. So we make fun of it. Poor Ian. We love him, but we make fun of him. So so that's one thing that always sticks out of me is there he was and there he wasn't. So that's one story. Another one though is I think that was it the same Rockfest, because we played there a few times. But yeah, I think that was 2019. But all of a sudden, everything was fine, and then everything all of a sudden like was starting to blow like crazy. And this one guy, it looked like a tornado was about to hit or something. It was really bad, and we were about to play too. And this guy ran like past my car, and he said, "I'm gonna die." So I was fine until I saw him, and then I started panicking. I'm like, "Oh my gosh," because we had this little car, this little Toyota that we were in, and nowhere else to go. So we all piled in the car, and the car was like shaking back and forth, and things were blowing. The latrines and the porta potties were blowing. It was like crazy scary. So we just kind of sat there and prayed, and and then things blew over, thankfully, and it was it calmed down. And then right after that, there were like these cool little bubble clouds. I've never seen them before that popped up in the sky. It was really kind of cool and pretty. And then everything was fine except for it was super muddy. But then we missed the first set. We didn't get to play, but then we got to play the second set. After that, though we were super muddy and everyone was sloshing in the mud everywhere. It was just a giant mud mess, but it was fun and it was a interesting experience. So.
Wow. So, thank you for sharing both of those stories.
Sure.
And I'm thinking with the first one, that must have been almost like a trapdoor kind of moment. Like, you look over and like, where'd he go?
Yes.
And then with the second one, was that like tornado conditions then, basically, that was going on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. Yeah, and it came out of nowhere too. That's never happened. It was just insane. Yeah, it was crazy, but thankfully everyone was okay. So.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, being out here in Seattle, we just don't get tornadoes out here, and then we started getting some small, really, really small things every now and then. The news would report, it's like, wait a minute, where is that at? And I said, that's here.
Oh, really?
It's like, yeah, I would expect it maybe in the Midwest or, or somewhere else
Right.
where it's not so uncommon, but like out
Yeah.
here, we don't get that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
apparently now we do.
Yeah. Oh man.
As long as it stays away from where I'm at.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can't imagine that sensation of being in a car with a band and that's having that thing just get rocked back and forth and like, yeah, no, I wouldn't feel very good.
No, that I was not happy. I was not happy. But we're okay.
Wow. Okay. Well, and I'm also kind of curious too. Like you mentioned, with your own background as a singer and doing lessons for a few years and piano for a little bit. Who do you look to as one of your influences, and are the people that you look to now that you also admire? Maybe they're the same people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my big inspiration is Lacey Sturm of Flyleaf. So Flyleaf is a big inspiration. Skillet is a big inspiration. And yeah, I mean, Striper is very cool too. I love Striper, they're awesome, but definitely the top ones would be Skillet, and Flyleaf, and what they're doing with their message. And yet they have amazing music, edgy music. You just don't see a lot of that, out there. So I just love what they're doing.
Okay, that's awesome. I again, if I date myself and I go back to like when Striper started to really kind of make a name for themselves,
Yeah.
Especially Christian rock at that time. I don't know how it is now, but
Yeah.
back then it was viewed as like this kind of saccharine, sweet kind of corporate kind of thing that's really like it doesn't have any edge whatsoever. And then you heard like their guitars and that kind of thing. It's like, well, this sounds like metal. This doesn't sound like anything you're talking about. And it was always interesting to me, and I don't know if you've experienced the same thing, that they got a lot of flack from the Christian community for being who they were and their message and everything else. And have you experienced the same thing for Ignescent?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we've gotten a ton of support, so I'm not going to say that, we've definitely got a ton of support, but we've also gotten the opposite where people question us just because of the style of our music. Like they're questioning who I am as a person and my faith just because of the style. That makes no sense to me. I don't get that at all. I know it's happens, but I don't get it. Like, and then I've had one person come up to me and say that 7-string guitar is evil and we shouldn't be playing it. And I'm like, what? So I've had a lot of weird things said to me. But at the same time, I've had a lot of good things too. So, and it seems like the good outweighs the bad. But there is a few people out there that, I don't know. I guess they don't get it. I'm not sure. I don't know why they think heavy music is evil. It's not evil. It's music. Anything, there's nothing wrong with heavy music. So I've gotten some interesting things. And then also we play with Christian bands and we play with non-Christian bands. So I think sometimes people don't like that for some reason. I don't know why, but so I've had a few weird things said to me.
Well, I was always puzzled by that, by what you just said, and also again with what Michael Sweet said about with Striper's things over the years. And I'm kind of like, well, one in general for me is like, if you don't like something, just go to the next thing. I mean, there's so many things, so many bands you could be listening to, but there's a small portion of people that will take the time out of their day to let you know, 7-string guitar is evil. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Or you're evil because you're playing it. Like what? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or you're playing with, with non-Christian bands, what's wrong with you? How dare you do that kind of thing?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
How very Christian of you to to judge me that way and say that.
Exactly. That's just it. That's a perfect point. Yeah.
Wow. Yep. And I'm also curious too, and I've asked this to a lot of my guests about kind of a good segue. How have you found social media to be? Has it been hopefully for the most part positive as a tool, as a way to get the word out and supporters and followers, or do you kind of view it as something that's almost like a kind of a chore that you have to do because you are a band, and if you don't, then everyone else is going to kind of find other ways to kind of step past you?
No, I think it's been an amazing tool. Like that's what I did at the very beginning to get the word out about Ignescent. I would share 6 days a week on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on I don't know. Now there's, I mean, there's TikTok, Twitch, like every single social media site there was. So I would take like 3 hours a day and then just share it, and then Facebook groups. So it really has been a help. I mean, it's a lot of time, but I'm glad I did it because it really is paying off, and it really got the word out about Ignescent. And without it, it would have been really hard. So I'm thankful for it, honestly.
Okay, yeah, no, that's great. That's been a useful tool.
Yeah.
I'm in a similar boat. Just that no one would know who Eclectic Arts is, other than maybe like locally.
Uh-huh.
If
Right.
I didn't, utilize social media, I just know for myself at times I'm kind of, oh, I haven't posted in a while, or I need to
Yeah.
reply to this, or my DMs look like they're blowing up, and it's like, oh, I
Yeah.
need to carve out some time, but it's like at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like, no, this is helping you, Mark, so take the time to do it.
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
definitely times where I'm like, I want to just take my phone and throw
Yeah.
it in.
No, I agree. Like I got burnt out after a while. It took a long time because first I was like really excited, but yeah, I did start getting burnt out, and I stopped posting as much. I mean, I still post, but yeah, I mean, because you do have to take a break. You have to spend time with the people, with your family and like with people in your life and all that stuff. So you got to balance it. And so yeah, I get that. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I just put the phone away and take a break, but it is helpful too.
Yeah, and I think you said the key word, balance.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I can strike that balance in every part of my life, then things are good. And if it's
Yeah.
just getting out of balance, then I got to recognize it and then try to fix it and correct
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
And Jennifer, as we kind of get close to wrapping this up, as you've already mentioned, you have some concerts coming up. Is there going to be another video from the EP? What's kind of coming up for Ignescent?
Well, yeah, we have the Remnant music video, and then we have the EP, and it has songs called Better Left Forgotten Anymore, Final Fight, and then Remnant on it. We're still deciding if we're going to be doing another music video. We're kind of in talks about that. And then we just remade a song, In This Moment, by Phil Collins, and we want to record that. So we're trying to like set up a time to do that. We might record it in April and release it this summer, but yeah, we definitely want to get that released. And we would definitely love to release another music video too, and then just focus on doing shows and everything. So that's kind of what's in the works. And then we're playing at Rockfest again this summer. We're playing at Kingdom Come Fest, a fest with Buck Cherry in Minnesota this summer. We just got booked at a fest in New York too, and I think someone from Newsboys is going to be there, so I'm excited about that. And then there's a fest in Illinois, and we're still booking. So yeah, we'll keep things updated on the website on ignescentmusic.com, and then also on our Ignescent Music Instagram. You can check it out there, and on the Ignescent Music Facebook, we'll keep it updated there too. And yeah, I mean, if anyone's listening out there, just make sure to go listen to Remnant by Ignescent on Spotify, and check out our EP and all the other songs too. But
Awesome. And as we've been talking, there's so many things that are blowing up for the band, and we've got a lot of plans already. And I'm sure there's going to be more that are going to get added to it. So if people keep staying up on your socials and checking out the websites so they know. And also, you guys have a nice merch store I saw.
yeah.
And I love physical media, and I've talked about this umpteen times with artists. And it's more from like maybe the pop world, the folks that they just talk about their streams. Like, are you going to put it on a CD? Do you have a T-shirt? Do you have something? Because I would like to support them, and like you guys do. So it's like, oh, this is awesome. There's actually stuff people can buy to help support the band. So please keep doing that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely we will. Yeah, and we appreciate all the support. I mean, that stuff goes to help, pay for travel costs and all that stuff. So we definitely appreciate everyone's support with that, and in the merch. Yeah, and you can go on that. I mean, I know you've seen it, but anyone watching, you can just go on. There's a link tree. A link on the Instagram page and Facebook. So if you click on the Linktree link in our bio at the Ignescent Music Instagram page and Facebook, it'll take you to all like the links to the music, and it'll take you to the merch store. Then you can click on that and check it out. And we just added 4 new T-shirts on there, 4 new designs too. So I'm excited about that too. Awesome.
Well, Jennifer, truly, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk about Ignescent. I really appreciate it. I love what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
And I definitely love the transparency and the message that you guys have going out there. And I hope that things work out, that you do, get on a tour that's going to at least bring you to the Northwest, so I get a chance to see you guys live out here. So I would love to see the band in action.
Awesome. We would love to meet you. And yeah, I will definitely let you know. And hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully we will get on that.
Awesome. Well, have a great, it's not quite evening, great late afternoon.
Yeah, you too. You too.
Right. Thank you so much. And I wish you guys every success with the band.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.